Hi guys, just quickly want to give you a quick tour of the Sling 4. She's based here at Potchefstroom, South Africa. It's just about 60 miles to the southwest of the airplane factory located in Johannesburg. It's about a 30-minute flight with the Sling to the factory where she's also maintained. Just outside the hangar, just going to pop around, show you inside the hangar. She's the only plane hangared here. It's about a King Air 200 size hangar, so she doesn't get any hangar rashes or bumps with other planes, like most other planes share a hangar with others. So yeah, she's quite comfy in the large hangar. Give you a brief tour around the plane. So she's finished in white, blue and silver paint scheme. It's actually a Cirrus paint scheme called the Vision Inspired Cirrus. This paint scheme was put on the SR22 special paint scheme they did when they launched the Vision Jet. So I think there's only a few planes like this in the world with this paint scheme. Also a bit pricey paint scheme to do new on a new plane, as it's 3 colors with the black stripes in between. So it's white bottom with the black stripes, and then the Gulf blue, similar to what they use on the Cirrus, and then silver at the top. So no nicks and bumps or anything on the plane. Still as new. So the lights we have installed here are the Avio Andromeda Aurora nav strobes, which Avio claim are some of the brightest nav strobes for experimental planes, and I think they're about $700 to $800 new. They do quite a nice job. Strobes are quite bright, see them from quite a few miles away. And then here we have the taxi and landing lights. On the right is the landing light, also from Avio. They call the Atlas 10. They're very bright. They light up a dark airfield at night quite well. And then next to it on the left is the Kunzelman taxi light. Not as bright as the Avio, but do a nice job at night for taxiing. Yeah. So the leading edges, it's a bit dirty now due to bugs and so on, but no nicks and bumps on it. Here we get to the fuel filler. It's 84 liters a side, which is about, I think, 22 US gallons on a side. So at a fuel burn of about 6 gallons an hour in the Sling, you get about 6 to 6.5 hours endurance. At 120 to 130 knots gives it quite some range. And if you throttle back, you can easily do 4 to 5 gallons an hour and have a decent endurance should you like. And spat's also in good condition still. Whenever they get a nick or a bump, I just get the factory guys to get it sorted and fixed properly. Exhaust, front spat. So this propeller is called the Airmaster. Airmaster is located in New Zealand. The guys take whirlwind or warp drive blades and then balance them and put them on a constant speed unit, electric constant speed unit, and it does a great job and works very well with the Rotax 914 engine. So these blades were installed at about 330 hours total time on the plane. I had the warp drive blades installed before then. These are the whirlwinds. They give about 5 to 8 knots increase in TAS at cruise. So that's why we had them installed, and they have a bit better look than and the warp drive blades. The warp drive are a bit more skinny and don't have this nice scimitar shape. I think it complements the look of the plane quite well. So let's go over and pop up on the cowl. Just show you a quick look inside. So it just opens with the screwdriver. So here's the inside. There's the water and coolant mixture on the right in the big bottle. On the left is the brake fluid. As you can see, very clean inside now. No issues there. It's a bit difficult to have a peek of everything through this small window, but yeah, as you can see, no issues. So there's the oil filler, actually the oil reservoir, as it is a dry sump engine. So I'll leave that open for now. Let's pop over to the other side, which also has a small opening that we can access. Same story on this side. So there's the carburetor. So it's a double carburetor engine. Now the tappet covers red on the Rotax 914. I'll just pop over to the other side, give you a brief look at the turbocharger. I hope we can see it through here. So this is the inlet, the air intake. It goes to this hose, the black hose over there, and then you have the air filter. And over there in the middle of the screen now you can actually just see the turbo. Okay, so I'll leave that open for now. This intake is just for the air vent inside. And over here we have the left-hand spat, bottom of the plane. There's a transponder antenna, and on the left-hand wing you can see the pitot there. Okay, let's pop inside. Just give you a quick look at the baggage compartment. It's a bit filled now. It's about a 12 cubic inch baggage compartment, and then you can use this little latch here to fold flat the rear seats, and you have quite a large baggage compartment. You have golf bags or something that you want to stow. Okay, so I'll leave that open for now. Let's pop inside. Doors open quite easily. Gullwing doors similar to like what you see in the RV10s. Okay, rear seats finished in tan leather. And those visors are just for the roof that you can stick on this Velcro for sunny days. Does quite a nice job. Just pop into the back seat here. So you've got the back pockets in the seats, seat back pockets, and quite decent legroom. I'm about 5'9", 5'8", and yeah, quite decent legroom still. I've had 4 up with taller passengers than I am for about 3-4 hour flight, and they had no complaints, actually fell asleep, so it's quite comfortable. And visibility out the back is also quite nice through the rear windows. Visibility in this plane is quite decent. No complaints about that. Let's pop into the front, switch on the Avionics. So access into the front is just pop onto the seat. That's why the cloth cover is there, and then just slide in easily. Righty, and here's the Avionics avionics. Sorry about the glare. Try and minimize that. Alright, there we are. So here are the switches. So from the left we have the master, 2 electric fuel pumps. Then we have EFIS 1, EFIS 2 on the bottom there. Taxi, land, strobe lights, nav lights on the left bottom. Avionics, prop controller, autopilot, and the external alternator. Then just a standard off, right, left, both start, magneto and starter control. So 2 GDU 370 screens, smaller screens than the G1000, but work quite similarly. So that is, it works quite similar to the G1000. If you're familiar with any Garmin products, they're quite straightforward to operate. So this is the G3X system, EFIS system, and then you have the GMA240 audio panel, 4-place intercom, and then the GNC255 Garmin radio and navcom, and then the GTX327 transponder, and then the GMC305 autopilot controller, similar to what they put in the latest Cirrus planes. Then in the middle, that round dial, have the prop controller. So it works quite easily. You just pop it into takeoff, and that gives you 115 horsepower for 5 minutes, 5,800 RPM on the motor. Then you pop it into cruise. When you're done with takeoff on the after takeoff checks, that gives you 5,500 RPM, and that is also maximum continuous power. You pop it into cruise, then it gives you 5,000 RPM. If you want to run a bit less, bit more efficient, so it gives you 5,000 RPM. And then if you pop it into hold, it automatically goes to 5,230 RPM, which is a nice in between the climb and the cruise, and gives you decent speed and fuel burn on longer trips. And you can just pop it into manual mode if you'd like, and then you can set the RPM final course as you wish for manual adjustment. Then these 2 black dials, the choke you use on cold days for start, so you just pull it out when you start, and then if the engine starts up, you just leave it and it goes back into position. And then you have a cabin heat here that you can pull on cooler days, and that gives you a bit of warm air that comes through at the bottom behind the panel. And here we have the BRS handle for the parachute system. Standard left, right and off fuel selector. So I'm going to switch on the master switch now and the 2 EFISes. Just give you an idea of the avionics, and also the avionics master switch, which lightens up the radio stack. You have the throttle lever, so it's straightforward, no mixture and prop lever, so the props obviously controlled through the prop controller. And then throttle lever straightforward, up to 100% power, and then for 5 minutes on takeoff, in combination with the takeoff setting on the prop controller, there's a little trigger here that you can activate, and then it goes all the way up to 115 horsepower, so that gives you 115 horsepower for 5 minutes. And after takeoff you just go back to 100, you're back at 100. I generally never use the extra, but I'll just go to 100, that's sufficient power for me, as the plane at maximum takeoff weight takes off in about 400 meters or 1,300 feet easily, and that's even at our altitude here of 4,400 on the ground, so doesn't use a lot of runway, this plane. And then here we have the flap controller. So normally the slings, most slings have the flap controller on the panel itself, but it's when we designed the panel, I thought it'd be better to put it down here, because if it's on the panel in turbulence, it's a bit difficult to get these buttons pushed properly, so I'd rather have it here. You can fix your hand here and get the flap selected easily, so it just is selected by pressing the button for 1 second. It goes, so it's up 10, 20, 30 degrees for the selections. And I'll just pop the flaps back up so you can see the movement there. And then here on the far right we have Garmin 695, so this is completely independent from the G3X system. It's battery powered, and it's hardwired to the panel to get power. So in case of an all electrical failure, that'll stay on for about 8 hours and gives you basic info, GPS info, and when you push the panel button, it gives you GPS ground speed, altitude, vertical speed, and a compass. Works quite well. And then here on the far right we have the circuit breakers, and then we have two 12-volt power sockets, quite convenient, and then also two air vents from the air that comes straight from the outside, so they blow quite hard, do a nice job for warmer days. So the Garmins are quite straightforward. They very similar to G1000 as said, coupled to the Autopilot from Garmin. They do a great job, very similar to the operation in Cirrus. So on the Autopilot you have heading, nav, approach, Autopilot master switch, flight director, then you have the blue level button which goes to straighten level should you press it at any time during flight. Then you have the up down for vertical speed, and then you have the indicated airspeed, hold, vertical speed, altitude, and VNav. And as on the newest Cirruses with EVS, electronic stability control, I think, no, sorry, ESP, the electronic stability control, does a great job. It prevents you from overbanking and over pitching the plane, also too low and too high speed. It compensates and brings the plane back to the normal flight path. You can switch that off in the settings should you wish to do a bit of spontaneous flying. So yeah, then on the bottom, at the top, sorry, we have the rose and sun visors. So I think this is the only Sling in the world with rose and sun visors because they're quite pricey, but they do a great job, especially with a plane with all the windows around you. So for glare they do a great job, and these are actually the same size as the Cirrus. These are the Cirrus rose and sun visors. Also they move all around. You can do something exactly the same as in the Cirrus. Then at the top we have also a light from Avio called the I-beam touch. Switch it on by touch on the on button. Completely movable. You have white, you have red for night, and then it's just dimmable on this little dim switcher, touch control. Works very well. So here we have the parking brake and center console, the headset jacks, and at the bottom we have toe brakes on both sides, which was also an option. And interior stowage is quite decent. You have large pockets at your feet both sides, and then here next to you also nice pockets for smaller items. So decent space. On the back we have lights. So these operate by touch. Just press them for dome light in the plane. And then the headset jacks in the back are located there. And there's also the current engine hours. So engine hours now 488.4 and total hours 523.3. Alright guys, I think that concludes the tour. Have a good one.